Hey, good morning, everybody. We're heading out to the little park outside of town that they do like a lot of hiking trails. I've never been back to it, so we're going to head out that way this morning and check it out. Take the drone out, maybe do a little video on with the drone.
Morning.
It's early. It's not really early.
7:30.
It's 7:30.
Yeah, not for you if you're going flying.
That's not early. For some people it could be, but for people who don't lay in bed all day, it's late really. I've been up since 5, a little before 5. That's the way I roll. So anyways, I haven't done a driving video for a while, so I thought maybe we'll do a little driving video on the way out here. Where we're heading out to is by the St. Johns River, off Route 44 out of DeLand, Florida. And my camera's changed here. I took my bracket down here using another car once, and now I put it up like I can't get it adjusted right. So I guess it looks okay. To me, it seems like it's pointing up in the air too much. Sun's nice and bright here this morning.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Looks like it's going to be a nice day.
Nice day in the neighborhood.
We're right in the busiest part of hurricane season, and there's like 3 or 4 hurricanes stacked out into the Atlantic. And
Florence is the next one.
Florence is the next one. Florence is, I think next Thursday. It looks like it might hit the Carolinas somewhere. It's not that strong yet, but it's supposedly to get up to a Category 4. What I've seen is supposed to land at a Category 3, but it's still too far out to tell exactly what it's going to do. So we're watching that.
Because last year Irma skirted all over Florida.
She was everywhere.
She was going to go up the West Coast, then she was going to go up the East Coast, then she ended up coming up the West Coast and then coming across.
And she went right over top of it. The eye of it went right over top of our place, and we saw about 120 mile an hour winds at that point, but that's the weather. We had another tropical front went through here last week on Labor Day, and Gordon, the Gordon fisherman, he was fishing for something, but Gordon is in Ohio right now. No longer a hurricane, it's just a storm. But it's dumping a lot of rain.
Big storm,
dumping a lot of rain. And the Ohio's where we originally came from. Worcester, Ohio has their fair, which started yesterday. And it's supposed to dump upwards of 6 inches of rain in that area, and where the fair is there in Ohio, sets in a real low area. Back in July 4th, 1969, was a massive flood there. I mean, there was they said about 10 inches of rain. Overall, when this storm's done, they're going to probably have maybe 7-8 inches of rain, which is it's catastrophic amount of rain for that area because it's low and it's clay and it drains. But the fair sets right down into the lowlands.
In 1969, when it flooded, the fairgrounds was flooded completely underwater. And people were killed in that flood that year. And now the flood is predicted again, and it's fair time.
Yeah, and so they have all the animals are at the fair, and 69 flood, there wasn't no fair going at that time, but there was animals killed in the horse barns and stuff, but they were evacuating the animals yesterday.
Which is unprecedented.
Yeah, they've never done that in the history of that fair, which is over 100 years old, the fair is. So anyways, they're done that in anticipation that there could be flooding.
So it's kind of strange.
Yeah, we're kind of watching that, see what's going on.
We have family in that area.
Yeah, well, if they're smart enough, they won't go to the fair. I was like, why would you go to the fair in the rain?
But there's also areas that's not the fair that will be flooded.
Some areas, yeah, that was.
You're where you used to live.
Yeah, but you stay away from them. I mean, I grew up in that area where we had floods every spring, And you don't drive down roads that have underwater, and because you don't know what's underneath that water.
And my girlfriend lives right along the banks of a creek, river, whatever, the Little Apple Creek, that floods every time it rains practically. And it was that creek that overflowed where people were killed in 69.
Yeah.
Anyway, my girlfriend lives right on the banks of it, and we heard yesterday that people were going door to door to evacuate that area. So I contacted her, and she says, "Nope, we're sitting here watching TV." I said, "Well, keep an eye on the water." She says, "Will do."
So anyways, we're watching that closely up north there, because their flooding's a big issue up there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all. Weather, the sun is out bright, and luckily we're going the right direction, or I wouldn't even be able to shoot this video, because the sun coming in the rear view mirror is almost blinding that it's so bright.
Yep.
And but it looks like a nice day. They said we might get a few showers later on. Yesterday it clouded up a little bit, got a minor bit of rain on it. So, well, this area that we're heading out to it's like hiking trails. Like I said, I have never been back to it in all the years I've lived down here. Never been back to this area, and so we're gonna check it out. See if I can fly the drone, get it up, get some videos of the river and stuff out there, just to see what this area is like. So we're just kind of doing a little bit of experimenting, driving around this morning.
Fog over here.
Yeah, a little fog. It's been a little cooler. It was like 72 this morning, which we've been in close to 80 as morning lows. So Florida's seasons are changing. Sometimes people said Florida don't have seasons, but if you don't notice the seasons, you're not paying attention, because it does. It's still warm. Some people would call it hot, but it's still warm. We've been about 88 has been kind of the average high recently, which it had been around 92, 93. So it has came down a little bit in the early mornings. You can tell there's a little bit of a coolness in the air. It'll be another month before we really notice too big of a cool down. So now we're on Spring Garden. This is 15A, runs around the outside of the land. It's it's kind of a bypass, or they used to call it the truck route. And so we're heading up this way to Route 44 is where we're heading out to. This area is supposed to relieve traffic from downtown DeLand. Instead of driving through there, you can drive out around here, and I think it works. It's been I don't know how long this road's been here. As long as I've been around, it's been here. I was going to do this yesterday, but it wasn't feeling so good, so I decided I'll wait and see what I feel like this morning. So I felt a little better. It's like I do all this stuff in the morning. It's like it's cooler. It's fresher. I'm good in the mornings. I'm not good in the afternoons. So I always like to try. And they used to always talk about, for photography, there's like, what do you call it, a golden hour or something? That your lighting's good to shoot stuff in that. And I believe that, because like lighting's now good, except the sun is low. If you was pointing to the west, the sun would be right in the camera's eye and it would blind it out. But the sun's pretty good. There was another guy talking about a little interesting subject that I thought I'd touch on. He'd done it in another video, but about the frog theory. Frog theory is, if you put a frog in a pot of water, and the water is just like room temperature, and you turn that pot on a real low setting, and it starts to warm up, that the frog won't notice a lot of the difference, because it's so gradual, and eventually it'll get hot enough that you'll cook the frog, and the frog will become cooked, And what I was referring that to is other things like industry and pricing will set up. Cell phones are big on that, and cable companies and all kinds of different pricing in the industry will start out with a low price, and it seems very acceptable at that, And then what they do is they up it a couple pennies here, and then they up it a couple pennies here.
Well, dollars usually.
Well, it's usually cents, because then it would not do the frog theory. The frog theory is slow and a little at a time.
Yeah, that's true.
And so dollars, you notice dollars, but you don't notice a couple cents here, a couple cents here. And after a while, they get this price up that it's pretty expensive, and you really don't notice it too much because they've done a gradual increase. And pretty soon, this inexpensive product becomes very expensive. Now, I mean, some companies do it. Subscriptions, they'll start you out for a subscription. This year it's $12 for the year, and next year it's $16, and then next year it's $25. And they do that as a scam to up the price on it gradually so they don't think people notice. Now, I've always noticed this stuff. I keep track of things because I've always had a limited income, so I've always had to. And they do that even locally with events. They'll have a food tasting event, and the first year it comes out, it's like, hey, $10. Go around and sample all these foods, and good deal, $10 for lunch. You get enough to have a lunch or supper either way. But then the next year it's $15. It's only $5 more. It's still worth it. And they every year keep gradually increasing it to pretty soon now it's $30 and $40. Well, this no longer becomes a viable event, but people continue to pay it. And the way to battle that is don't pay it, And one of two things will happen. Either they'll take the price back down to a acceptable level, or they just quit having it. And my opinion is, if they quit having it, if it's so expensive, they may as well quit having it, because I'm not going to go. Now, there's people that have a lot of disposable income that will go anyways, and but then that hurts the people who don't have a lot of disposable income, so they no longer can afford to go to the event. So that's the frog theory, and they use that all the time. So that's something you watch out for. We're coming into a roundabout. I hate these roundabouts. Roundabouts all about. See these signs here that says yield? That's what roundabouts goes. Even though there's nobody around, I slow down, look around both ways. But what people will do, they'll come flying there. They won't use the yield on it. They changed this because there was a bad accident here a year or so back, and there was several people killed. But they never had any problem before that accident, and they decided that they had to have a roundabout, which they've proven in this area not to be safe. There's been a lot of minor crashes there. People won't yield and they run into each other. So the roundabout theory really doesn't really work that well. I noticed my windshield's dirty. I hope it's not coming up on the camera. So probably had some raindrops before. So we're going out here to the west. We're heading out here, heading out towards the St. Johns River. St. Johns River runs all the way from Titusville to Jacksonville. You can actually take even a large boat all the way around and do a loop, go down to Intercoastal and hit the river and follow it all the way up. It's a slow go because they have manatee zones. And if you're not from the south where we have a lot of manatees, they're like a big sea cow. They're big, sluggy. They move real slow, and they had a lot of problem with boats had hit them. Ran into them because they move so slow, and so boats will hit them, and so they slow the speed down to very slow. It's almost a crawl, so it takes a long time to go up the St. Johns River. Just because of the manatee zones, So we're getting out here close. I see some birds up in the air this morning. There's a couple RV places out here. And there's a storage place over here.
There's that one that was on that show, that blue one. You probably can't see it.
Yeah, I probably can't see it aside, but there was a tiny home that was featured on a tiny home show. And it was right there. They didn't buy it. It's still sitting there. So
as soon as we saw it, we go, wait, isn't that the one that's on 44? Sure enough, it was.
Yeah, I know where that's at, you know. And so
funny to see that.
it is. You see it on these shows, you go, hey, it's a local area. I know that. I know where that's at, you know. So we'll be coming up here to there's a lift bridge here that, you know, if a large boat comes through, they lift it, let them come through. They have radar arch, or if it's a sailboat or whatever, they can get underneath that bridge. So we're coming up onto that river here. There's a park off to the right. They call this Whitehair Bridge. And there's a campground here. I believe it's a KOA from what I've seen. It's kind of new. It's only been here a year. Yep, KOA, big old KOA sign right there. Oh, and there's a restaurant back in there.
Stone Park, yeah. Stone Park.
It's Stone Park.
River Grill is the restaurant.
And a restaurant. Yeah, I think it's called the River Grill. And here's the lift bridge. I'll be able to see off to the right there, but this is the St. Johns River. We're going to be making a little fog out here.
We just entered Lake County.
Yeah, we're in Lake County now. We're going to make a right turn up here onto 42, I believe it is. And so not very far up here is where this little park that I'm going to investigate. It's a dirt road, and like I said, I just never went down it. So I looked it up on Google Earth to just check it out, and it looks like there's a nice little park there. There's a lot of walking trails, which I don't walk. I never got the concept of walking. It kills your back, hurts your feet, and it's like, I know people love it, but
my knee and ankle.
Yeah, so I've never got the concept of walking. I guess people love it, but apparently they don't hurt. You know, so that's my theory on walking there. I'd rather ride. Give me a scooter or something to ride. I think the entrance is right up here. It's called it's Ocala National Forest. Is what it's part of.
River Forest.
And there's St. Francis Hiking Trail. So we're gonna go back here. Like I said, I've never been back here. Group area camping. I think you can camp. It's primitive camping and stuff. And it's a dirt road. So we're gonna investigate back here this morning. See what it says. No dumping allowed.
Mine's just going back to the flying field.
Yeah.
Except this road's a lot better.
Yeah, this road's pretty good. But yeah, from I gather, there's a little park back here. And like I said, all the years I've been around here, I've never investigated it. So I get on these Google Earth and I'll look around the area for different things of interest. And wow, this looks like an interesting place. And so I thought, well, we'll just go back here and see what it is. And I'm sure the hiking is probably the major part that people like to walk. A lot of water here.
Whoa.
As you can see, this a big thing.
It's a big low spot there.
Yeah, we're going to go through it and hope it's not too deep. I talked about going through water and went through that all right. I guess we got to just keep up the momentum, you know.
This is dangerous because you don't know how deep it is, not having been through here before.
Yeah. Stay off to the right here on this side. Yeah, it's pretty deep water there, but we went through it. Generally, I don't like to do that, so we took a chance there. It says River Forest and Group Camping Area. Well, this area is all closed off, and this is where I was going to go.
It says no trespassing?
Yeah, it says, attention, do not enter this area unless you have a reservation. So, you can't really go back here. This is exactly where I was going to go to. So that kind of foils my little experiment here. And let's see what it says over here about group camping and stuff. So this basically isn't friendly to the public or nothing. They have, you have to reserve it and stuff. And they have a hiking trail on out here. But I guess that kind of took care of that area. This is where... Yeah, so I think we're going to end the video right here. And so that kind of did our
that's
trip.
just for walking back there, not driving.
Yeah, so, okay, we're going to end the video there. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see what else we can find here today. So if you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and we'll talk to you the next time.